Hi Anti-Society, welcome back to the Anti-Social Planet, and today we are checking out chapters 20 and 21 of Tower of God Season 2. So last time, I felt a lot of things. There was a lot hitting me last couple of chapters. We cried, still not over it. I'm still mad at Lurker. I'm still upset about the whole Nya incident, but I am hopeful that now that Bam got the 3 strikes with his fight against Love, and Wangnan is asking for help, that Bam is going to use his abilities for good, as Love was trying to convince him to do, and will, can we just be honest, brutally attack Lurker. I just feel like, given the treatment of Nya, that there's some balance that needs to be restored. So I'm hoping that Bam will participate in eliminating Lurker from the test in whatever way he sees fit, but if it involves pain, I wouldn't be against that. So we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. I think that we still have a few other things too. Like we have like Yun, who has been taken as a host, and I have a bad feeling is probably going to light this part of the floor on fire, given her abilities. We also had Teddy Bear that was on the move, giving up the room so that he could get involved in what's going on. I guess Prince is like down and out, got knocked down against Rap Devil. I feel like putting Bam into this isn't going to make there be less chaos. I feel like there's going to be more chaos, at least briefly, and then things might calm down, but we'll see. This season has already thrown a lot at me, so I really don't know if calming down is an option, but let's just get into chapter 20 and hopefully I don't cry this time. I was gonna ask if Love would get involved in what's going on with the regulars and like making people hosts and killing off each other, but honestly I don't know if that necessarily breaks the rules of the test, so I don't know if he'd have to. I mean, Wangnan's really like willing to sacrifice it all, isn't he? I don't know if I'm totally against that. I kind of feel where he's coming from. It's kind of like a mutual self-destruction kind of thing. He also seems really stubborn. Yeah, see, that's where like Love's like, people die during exams, right? I'm like, that's what I'm thinking too, of like, even though I'm upset about it, and Wangnan is upset about it, doesn't mean that people dying during tests is unheard of. So I don't think that it's necessarily something that would, it doesn't break the rules, right? So it doesn't mean that other people have to kind of bend around that event in the same way that like Wangnan feels like he is, because he has that personal connection. Oh my gosh, I swear if they make me cry again, if he says something that gets me in my feelings, we're gonna have an issue. This is like the second time that someone has talked about like having lots of people when they got to the floor and then now they're on their own. Like we had that with Gosen, was talking about having other people with her while she was coming to this point of the tower. And it's true, like all of these people were individuals that met up during that initial test in the room, but we know that people have teams before that. Like this is the 20th floor. We know earlier on that people have teams and meet other people and get a chance to collaborate with other regulars. And the fact that they were alone coming to this part of the test, I think says a lot about the kind of loss that they've experienced. Don't you cry. I'm not gonna do it this time. I'm not going to. Ooh, good line though. Does this tower make our dreams come true or force us to give them up? Very interesting take. Because I feel like there was so much focus on like getting what you desire and like having your wishes come true and stuff like that with the tower, that people sort of forget the sacrifice involved. And it's one thing to say, I want this thing, like this is the thing that I desire, and it's another to actually go through the process of getting it. Like it's really easy to say, this is what I want, as like an abstract thing in the future. And I think we all do that. We're kind of like daydreaming about what we would like in a future part of our life at a future time. But it's a very different thing to put in the work to get to that point. So when you're faced with all of these challenges, like constantly being literally tested in how much you really desire this thing, that you're going to start to doubt it. Even if you really are willing to work for it and sacrifice for it, you're constantly being asked if it's worth it. And if you keep getting asked, you get worn down, right? It gets exhausting having to justify something that you want so deeply that it does in some way like force you to give them up. Like even if you would have been willing under different circumstances to continue to work for it, it's because there's so many obstacles in your way that maybe you just don't have the energy anymore. I mean, I don't know if punishing other people to get what you want is always the way, and I know that that sounds hypocritical coming from me, given how I definitely want Lurker to be punished. But if we're talking from like actual morality and like taking the higher ground or whatever, you can't always have that mentality, right? Of because it's almost the same as you have to take it from someone else. And that mentality usually doesn't go well because it makes everyone else an adversary, right? Even if you're saying like, oh, only a certain group of people, only people like the bad guys, right? Well, bad is relative in a lot of ways. It's something that you have your own personal moral code about, and people either do or do not fit into that. And I think if you're constantly looking for people to like take what you want from, then you're going to start contributing things that you see as bad people to those people. You're going to project that onto them, or just like adopt traits from those people, even if you didn't think that was bad in the past, because you need an excuse, right? You need somewhere to channel that anger and that feeling of needing justice or punishment or whatever. So I don't think it's a good long-term like way to deal with things or to get what you want. True that like the tower doesn't, the tower wants that conflict, right? Which I think is why there's all these different tests. And I think it's also why people are put together in teams where they have to like work together and work against each other, but then they get separated again, or like the teams get shaken up, or they have to do things independently. So even though you can like make friends with someone and work with them, you know, the next test, you might have to betray them, right? Because that's just how the tests in the tower work. They continue to test you, even if you show like good teamwork with people or you have sportsmanship or whatever. They're constantly going to be testing your limits and pushing you and finding those weak points and, you know, poking at them, because that's part of making it through the tower. That anger though of like, I'll destroy them all. Why do I feel like that is what Bomb is gonna empathize with more, is the anger of like, I will destroy everything? Because I feel like saying like, I wanted a friend may have been enough to convince Bomb to help earlier on. I think season 2 Bomb is like, so what you're saying is violence is the answer. I feel like that might be more his style with this. That's right, he did say he was going to become the king of the tower. Look at Love's face though. It's just like, what? I mean, he's also saying he wants to become king, which means Jihad has to be out. And that fits with Bomb's whole Foog thing. So I'm just work to be friends. At least work together. I feel like it could be mutually beneficial. Oh, hey, so we got the USB? You'd better help him. If you don't, I swear. Ooh, wait, flashback. Hello again. Cause just like, excuse me? Still getting thrown around? I don't love Prince's chances. Do they need to keep him alive though? Because they're taking him as like a teammate maybe to pass? I'm trying to think of how many there are. Cause there's Rap Devil, Tin was one of them, and then the one that possessed Yoon, then the mysterious one that was in the room, Prince, and then I assume there's another one, and that would make their full team, because we saw like Tin and the green guy, his name I don't remember, so they must have teammates somewhere, and we only saw one other person in the room, unless they betrayed the other team, the other roommate, and then they were just joined in a team. I feel like I need one of those like conspiracy boards with like string to show where everyone is, who's on what team and why. Is it one of the, oh no, it's Lurker. I was like, maybe it was someone we could trust? No, it's Lurker. You came to see him die? What's wrong with you? Honestly, there's a lot of layers of just unpleasantness to Lurker, and I can't wrap my head around it. I mean, I'm not fond of Prince either, but I don't want to watch him die. He's got the blank eyes and everything. See, this is the mentality I was talking about before of like needing to take from someone else. When you have that mentality, you become like Lurker. Don't be like Lurker. Do better. Are we gonna try something maybe? Backup plan? Teddy bear? Yeah, there he is. I knew he was on the move. Oh, I love how like Lurker and Yoon are like in focus, and then we have the line blur for like the two other ones. So it's like shows the speed of it. Like they're not able to even react properly to it before the actual attack happens. Sideways is also like what it's like to widen it to get a wider shot, but also it's jarring, right? Because it's not the right orientation. So it's like it puts you in that moment of, hang on, something's not right. And you have to like adjust really quickly to what's happening. Does he have little X's on his eyes after getting punched? I'm so proud of him. Showing up. Yes, I would also be okay with Teddy Bear punching Lurker. I would find that therapeutic too. Okay, but I don't want Teddy Bear to fight Yoon. I feel like that might be, I don't necessarily if like one would outpower the other isn't like the part that I'm scared about. It's the fact that Yoon's abilities are really volatile, and I don't want anyone that I care about going up against it. Except maybe Bomb. I feel like he would probably be okay. It's the surroundings that I'm worried about. It does look cool though. Like it has like the pinks and red, like really vibrant, warm colors, which fits with the like pink she has with her like headband. I just love the choice of coloring that we get with different people's shinsu that they're using. Also, shout out to the detailing that's been going on with the art. I know that I stop and I talk about the art pretty much every time, but we need to talk about the line work, okay? Because like this panel, we got like all of the different lines in the facial expression, all the little wisps of hair, the little motion blur lines, different parts of the clothing. Just good, okay? It takes time. You just need to appreciate that each one of these panels is like its own piece of artwork, which takes forever. I was gonna say, I'm like, he's all confident having someone else fight his battles for him, which is pretty much what he does, right? Like he contracts people to go and do stuff and then profits from it. It's like his whole thing. Even like him wanting to take stuff from Prince and his family have put in all of this work probably. I don't actually know the background of how they got their wealth, but they have a bunch of work and effort put in, I'm assuming, to get their wealth, and he just wants to take that for himself. He just wants to adopt it from them as opposed to putting in a bunch of hard work himself. Yeah, that's just like my middle class upbringing coming through that I'm like, no, you have to work for it. I also really like the contrast of like Lurker compared to Yoon, because Yoon has like all these warm colors. Like I was saying, she has a lot of warm tones with like her skin tone, her hair, the like pink accents with her shinsu and stuff. And then you have someone like Lurker who has lots of very cold tones. You can see it a lot with like his hand on her shoulder, where you have these very bold contrasts with it. Even with like the light hitting his face that's like warmer because of the warm colors of the shinsu, it seems like drained. Like even the pink of his flower isn't the same vibrance of like Yoon's hairband, right? There's a feeling of it being drained and there isn't as much like shading and dimension to it. There's something that feels very flat to his character, which I think fits really well with him of being this kind of almost uncanny appearance. He feels almost inhuman, right? As opposed to Yoon, who has those little details and the warm coloring, which is very like lively and makes her feel like more of a tangible person. Yeah, you might want to come up with some kind of plan. Who showed up? Bomb? It was a single word. He's not very talkative, so I assume Bomb. Everyone looks a little bit scared too. Did we just attack anyway? While everyone was distracted? There he is. Wasn't sure if we saw him before, like him joining in. See, like I said before about how we had the warm, really warm, vibrant tones with Yoon in like all of the coloring of the panels. Now we're getting this purple creeping in the blue, which is Bomb's, right? Like Bomb's shinsu and his abilities, but also purple being part of kind of his color palette, which I've talked about before. So that leaking in to the coloring of the panel once he's present. Is that what's gonna knock her out? Is the anger, the rage that she has towards Bomb? I think that's what does it. Just fueled by rage. Oof. That's alarming. But we do have the green being incorporated too, like these swirls of colors where it was very like pink, red, orange based when it was Yoon. And then now we have like, even with like Teddy Bear being there, like his thing being like red, and now we have all of these other colors swirling into it as we have different shinsu and different presents in the panels. I do appreciate that Bomb just like shows up and he understands how to fix the problem. He's just like, yeah, weird green fish eel thing possessing someone, just take care of that real quick. Yeah, you should definitely be a little bit scared. A lot scared, but like we'll see how he keeps his composure. Yeah, he's decided to join in the test with the rest of the regulars, so you might want to run. Lurker definitely doesn't have what it takes to go up against Bomb. It's not gonna happen. We're fighting back, okay? I didn't think I'd be cheering for Prince, but here we are. Yes, open the door. Let Bomb be part of the everything going on. Ooh, and Teddy Bear. I feel like he is ready to deal with this whole situation. Kinda here for it. I love like the shadow because he's backlit, but then his eyes have like red orange, and it's almost paralleling the darker eyes of Rap Devil because he has the just darker eyes in general. Seeing that like parallel in the design happening just with the lighting. Look at the quiet types working well together. He definitely thinks he can beat you. Confidence. Ooh, what a line though of like, have you ever seen a real devil? I feel like Teddy Bear might have some secrets with technique and fighting capability, maybe? I'm here for it though. Whoa. Again, the shift, right? We had that with him before where we have the shift in the panel. Again, that feeling of unsettled, right? Which is like what everyone around him would feel, would be that feeling of like feeling off kilter because of what's going on. Also, like the wing, like how cool is that? But it's like a bat wing because you have the like, it's like a finger, right? Like on bats, because it has like the same anatomy of a hand. I mean, it also has like pretty lights, which get me, but also just the design and like it almost has like the straps too that are like breaking off. But that's just the right, what's the left arm? One's living, one's not. Oh, I love that. Let's see who the devil really is. Ooh, I love all that imagery. Like we have like the rap devil as one of the characters. Then we have teddy bear with that kind of imagery. I feel like I shouldn't be calling him teddy bear in this instance. I feel like it's not entirely fitting to the moment, but I digress. And then we have all the imagery of like making a deal with the devil with Bomb, right? So we have all of these kind of motifs of fallen angels, right? Like I feel like a lot of people forget that the devil is an angel and still has that association, but angels are also like kind of scary. Like I feel like a lot of people see angels as like the very like human looking, beautiful, light emitting beings they are depicted a lot of the time, but in like biblical descriptions they're like these orbs of like eyes, and like they're terrifying looking if you see some of the artwork of the actual descriptions of angels, and they just switch to the more like beautiful human like appearance when they're talking to humans. They don't want to freak them out. So there's like that two sides to it, right? Of like kind of like beautiful, ethereal kind of beings, and then the more like monstrous warriors, right? Like a lot of angels are also warriors of heaven. So getting those two images, even with like angelic beings, let alone the devil who's a fallen angel and, you know, has chosen to go against rules and break them and is also in charge of punishment, right? So having the devil imagery coming in with the tower, I think is really cool, with the different people who can like actually make it in the tower have all of this devil fallen angel imagery with them, which I think is very fitting because we've had talk about, you know, does the tower grant your wishes or make you give up on them? You might enter the tower angelic, but you're certainly not going to remain that way if you want to actually survive. So I like getting that introduction of that imagery in it. Why do I feel like Tin is not alive? Oh no, they're fine. Okay, I was like, I don't know, I had a feeling for a second. I was like, oh, maybe they've already gotten to 10. Just the panic of like, just get into a room and lock the door and hope for the best. Yeah. Like, it's not gonna be good enough. He just opens the door. He's just here. He does have the connector now. Also, Wangnan coming in like a force of nature and just going straight for the face. I mean, fair enough. Oh no, aren't they in the room where they had... Yeah? No, don't show me. Don't show Wangnan. No, I said I wasn't gonna cry. This is very satisfying though. I'm just, for personal reasons, I'm gonna screenshot it. Just, you know, for the artwork. Oh, his flower even came off. Beautifully done. We appreciate just going in full like Super Saiyan mode. I do kind of, I know that I was talking about like wanting Bomb to fight Lurker, but I think there's something poetic at letting Wangnan do it. Because again, Lurker doesn't have a ton of power, it seems, himself. He kind of negotiates in a way to get other people who are powerful to help him. So I feel like Wangnan would be totally okay in that fight. Looks a little deranged now though. We might need a deep breath. Ground ourselves a little bit. Okay, next chapter. Okay, are we beating up Rap Devil off camera? I feel like that might be it because they don't want to give away all the powers and abilities. We gotta save some secrets for later. I guess Prince would know though, because he's in the room. Yeah, see? It's like, I'm assuming it's gonna be Rap Devil getting beat up. But also, holy crap. The begging, the general violence that we're getting to see as a result. I mean, Prince also looks shook. I agree. We're gonna have to circle back to this one. Ooh, that shot though. The backlighting, and just like the eye. I said before where like his eye was shining through, but like now it's, I feel like saying demonic is a little bit too on the nose given the whole devil imagery before this. I love how you can see like the straps like going back into place on his arm. I want to know your story. What is your ability? Where did it come from? Also saying don't mention that they've met. So like, it's probably a recognizable technique. Someone would know and recognize it and understand who he is, where he's from. Look how he just has a little wing now. Just kind of always there. Or Yang. That was it. I was like, what's his actual name? I always call him Teddy Bear. I think there's a Mr. now. Everyone's like, yes sir. Like little stars around Prince, just like dazzled by him. He is also very dangerous. like weird like healing thing with the, I'm just like remembering now, the almost like rib cage. That was weird. I never came back to that one. There's been so many things where I'm just like, what? That like I can't even keep track of it all. I can't keep track of how many moments I've just been confused. I mean, like, can we put a pin in that and come back to it later? I like how Tin's just like gone, piecing out. That's what happens when you make business deals with shady individuals. They don't have your back. I mean, I don't know if Bomb is also the best person to have watching your back at this point. I don't know if he'd be very loyal. He'd probably just like wander off at some point. I don't know if he has self-preservation on the mind. I think Wangnan is just rage at this point. Oof. Well, now hang on a second. I guess desperation though. No one's there to fight his battles for him, so he has to do it himself. Doesn't seem like it's working out very well. Oh, I was wondering about what his Shinsu would be. So his is more of a, again, relying on other things, right? Not being able to do something for himself. He has to rely on having a device and relying on people to fight his battles for him and all that stuff. Again, not being able to just do stuff on his own. He's always cheating and trying to find the easy way and that kind of stuff. Wangnan though, like maybe deep breath, you know? I just feel like we should be better. I know that I'm vindictive in this whole thing, okay? I get that it sounds ironic coming from me, but I don't want Wangnan to be corrupted and acting from a place of vengeance. That's why I was like, let Bomb do it. They already call him a monster. Oof. Good use of a Dutch angle though. That like feeling again of being off kilter, things not being in alignment, and the shot being like bottom up too, with the lighting being underneath, like all of those elements together to make this feeling of being a little bit deranged, a little bit of in a psychotic episode, a little bit. Wangnan's going through some stuff, and I feel like we need to just be snapped back into reality slightly. Because see, my thing is, I don't know if Wangnan will like himself if he keeps going like this when he settles down again, and I want him to like himself at the end of all of this. Well, I don't like what we're smiling. It's never good. Can we talk about the contrast of the lines? Sorry, brief art tangent again. So I was talking before about how like Lurker has like very distinct differences in his design that make him stand out, and I just noticed that he has super thin line work for like all of his features, which feels very like sharp and almost intangible. And there's something like when you have people with like really sharp features in this kind of art style, they're usually kind of shifty people. And just like with the contrast of the bolder lines with Wangnan, we also have like Wangnan as the person who's enacting like the action in this, so it makes sense to have those bolder lines to show the movement and the like power in the movement. But also he just has like bolder line work, even with like his eyes having more, they're more open, they're rounder, they have thicker lines around them that has this more innocence, wonder feeling to it, whereas Lurker has like really thin line work in his features, which seems very, again, almost inhuman, because his features are almost allowed to blend in to his face a little bit more, but also makes him feel very other in the design compared to other characters. Just a random detail I noticed. Yeah, see, if you become a murderer, you're not better than Lurker, and we've already established. Don't be like Lurker. Oof. I love the use of the background again of reflecting the emotion of the character. Ooh, I love the parallel too of like Wangnan being, don't compare me to you, but then having this very clear parallel between their facial expressions. You're like intentionally showing the similarities between them. We're getting backstory. I don't know if I'm gonna feel bad for him though. We had beating up old ladies, we have killing children, we have shady business deals. I'll take the backstory anyway, because we love a character moment, but I don't know if it'll make me feel bad. It does explain kind of how he decided to just become, you know, what he hated, basically. Like, he decided to become the same kind of person who screwed him over, basically. And that's kind of where Wangnan's like teetering on the edge, right? Of slipping into that too, of deciding that it has to be, like, if someone else is going to treat me this way, I'm going to treat them the same way back. I wonder if because of the deal, that's why Lurker has like the different coloring and the very, like I said before, very drained, otherworldly kind of look, is because we do have them taking away, like they said that you could pay with your lifespan was part of it, and it was like Wangnan giving up his body and stuff like that. So I wonder if Lurker used to look normal, and then it was because of his debt that he ended up giving up something like more tangible that ended up causing this, like Shinsu maybe? Life? I don't know. We might never find out. Say it was my thought. I'm like, I don't think I'll forgive him, but I understand. Interesting to see like Prince's reaction of, I feel like Prince doesn't really know what goes on with the business, given his shocked expression, but also because he just seems very like entitled and just expects to get what he wants. So I don't think he ever questioned where it all came from, right? What the process was for him to get the things that he has, because he's never had to go without. He's never had to question the work that went in, or, you know, the shady deals that went into him getting the things that he has. The laughing is uncomfortable. Interesting imagery of like saying like paved. I think of paved like roads or whatever over top of like nature and stuff, where you get something where, not to be like a little bit of hippie imagery here, but like when you have like greenery and vegetation and natural life and then you pave over it, like does it make using that piece of land easier for us? Yeah, you pave a road and then it's easier for people to travel on it. But the payment of that is all of the life that was there before is gone. So it's interesting to have that imagery of like someone willing to basically like destroy all of this life in their path in order to have an easier path for someone else. I mean, he does have a point where he's like, that's what the tower's like. We said before, of like how the tower encourages that conflict between people, and it isn't fair. Like, people are going to naturally do better at the tower than other people, or be in a position that benefits them and makes it easier for them to go up the tower. It's not justice. Like, you're not gonna get a balance of the scales with the tower, which is, I think, what Wangnan wants. He wants there to be like a sense of justice, and I don't think that's gonna happen. Is there like a proper court system in the tower? Like, can you get arrested? Is there a jail? Is there a system for dealing with that? Or is it just like whatever jihad feels like that day? I know there are like rules that people follow, but is there like an actual judges and courts and stuff? Not just because I'm a law nerd, but I would love to know if there is. Really? Shame. I would have loved to see all of the court stuff, because I don't know, just the part of my brain that enjoys law. I assumed that there wasn't, because I just like, it clicked in my brain. I'm like, we haven't seen like a police force necessarily. Like, we've seen people who are kind of in charge of corralling people on behalf of jihad. Like, there is systems in place to enforce what jihad orders and the rules and stuff like that, but it's not in the same way of like a justice system. Oof. This though, I'm not even gonna comment because I might cry. Oof, don't they explode? Again, deep breath. I want you to like yourself after this. We're making a lot of decisions. Is Bum just like hanging out? He's just still in the room, observing? Wangnan, deep breath. Think about our decisions. Good boy. I mean, you should forgive a lot of things, but like, maybe not this. I'm just saying. Oh, the tears though, of like, the anger isn't there to kind of hide behind, and then there's just the grief left. I mean, you probably should forgive. I'm not saying that's what happens though. I don't have to forgive. I don't live in this universe. I feel like Lurker also like doesn't fully comprehend what's happening, because he's not forgiven what happened to him either. And who knows how long that's been since he was originally climbing up the tower to now, that he's been holding on to that feeling of anger and wanting revenge against like Prince and his father and his family. See, that is the thing about forgiveness though. It's not about the other person a lot of the time. Like, a lot of the time you have to forgive and move on when someone wrongs you for yourself, so that it doesn't destroy that part of yourself that's like able to trust people or put faith in something, or just like not dwell on it. Again, because the anger, like if you're constantly pulling on that anger and living with it, it's going to destroy you from the inside out. So a lot of the time forgiveness is like about you moving on, you processing through something, and has very little to do with the other person, which I think is what Wangnan is doing. I think it's also an issue for like a crisis for Lurker, because it means that someone is humanizing him in a way. Like, it's much easier to just be the bad guy, right? Like, if you've done so many things that you can't forgive yourself for, like awful things in your past, if you just like embrace that you're an awful person, and everyone around you also believes that and is like justifying you seeing yourself in that way and behaving in the way that you are, and then you get one person who humanizes you in a way or hints that there's even some part of you worth saving, it can completely throw you off, right? Because suddenly you have to like contemplate what you've done. Oof, but we're still throwing hands. And again, it isn't about you, Lurker. I feel like this is Wangnan just like doing this for himself. Ooh, I like that, of like, I'll change everything in this tower that made you like this. Like, instead of letting Lurker and who he is and the things that made him who he is corrupt Wangnan, he's like, I'm going to use this as motivation to do better and change things. I think that, and it's like the opposite of what Lurker did, right? He saw the corruption around him and decided to just become that, to just conform to what was around him, as opposed to trying to fight for something that was more just. I also feel like this might be what Bum ends up connecting with. Again, like, instead of it just being, let's be friends, Instead, it's Bam being able to see the potential maybe in Wangnan and what he represents, and that might be part of what connects them, as opposed to like friendship and like natural chemistry and stuff like that. It'll be more of a, we have very similar things that motivate us. I love this panel though, the like difference in like power, like levels, where we have like one person who's like tearing up and having that emotion, and then one person who's like has like the sweat, and it's more of a, I don't know, like intimidating moment. Like we had him trembling before, like it's more of him coming to grasp with the shift around him, whereas like Wangnan is again being pulled by his emotions, but choosing something like productive as opposed to anger, which is a little bit more destructive. Anger is a very complicated emotion. Oh, I feel like the letting go of his jacket too is very symbolic. Like he's literally letting go of Lurker and what he represents and that connection between them, and he can move on. Bam is just kind of standing there in the background, taking it in, seeing like the turning away and moving on, right? He's leaving Lurker behind. Do better things. Ooh, I like that shot too, of like back to back, the two sides of it, especially since we have Bam with the darker hair and then lighter hair with Wangnan. Kind of like a two sides of the same coin kind of imagery. What is Bam gonna do? I don't know if he's quite as willing to take the high road as Wangnan is. They're gonna take the USB though. Or did he connect his, just end it and then they all fail? Does he still get to choose who comes with him though? Can he still be like, I would like to choose my team, and then they can continue on anyway? Because Bam gets to pass. Ooh, I kind of like how it fades. Like it's not even focused really on. There's this feeling of things, you know, the blacking out and fading into the background. Oh, and other people. So Wangnan, Gosen, Misen, Teddy Bear, Akraptor, Princey. I thought Prince would end up being part of the group. And Yun. Oh, did he decide to take everybody? Oof. That was a lot though. I feel like everyone's gonna need some time to recover from that one. I'm gonna need time to recover from that one. So that was a lot. I feel like it was a lot less focused on the game itself, and it was a lot more about the motivations of the characters. It was very focused on how people were reacting to what happened to Nya, and like how that was going to shift who they are as regulars going up the tower, and it's kind of seeing how people are navigating these different things and moral compasses and stuff like that, which I feel like is very important as we continue with the tests with these characters, is understanding their motivation and why it's so important that they go up the tower. But I like the Black and Effect we can talk about of kind of going with morality, is it feels a little bit like, I don't know, a death and rebirth moment. Like it feels like after everything that Wangnan has gone through and this shift that he has, this new conviction that he has for what he's working towards, is a moment of him leaving behind a past part of himself and coming back as someone else, because he was the first name after that blacked out panel part. And I do like that we have like Bam's name and then Wangnan again saying two sides of the same coin, of them both shifting, I think, a lot in this moment, because I'm assuming that Bam is seeing a lot more to Wangnan and seeing a lot more of connections between the two of them, of what motivates them and what their true like desire is to actually go up the tower, and how it has a lot to do with trying to change how all this works. Both of them seeing corruption and betrayal and losing someone who is important to them, and using that as a motivation to say, I don't like that this is how it works, that this is what the systems are around me, the rules, things need to change. And I think that this is a moment of them both leaving behind who they were before and starting a new chapter of their development, of them figuring out what they're actually going to do. And I think together they're really going to evolve a lot and kind of take different parts of each other to make themselves stronger and more balanced and that kind of a thing. So I think that there's a lot of potential for what they're going to be as they continue going up the tower, and I think it's really important to have someone as like a, I don't know, related but opposite to Bam, because he doesn't want to be in charge. And that's kind of something I thought before, where I was like, I don't think that Bam wants to like dethrone Jihad. I don't think he's the person who wants to be actually in charge of anything in the tower. He's never really had that motivation. Like even before in chapter 1 with the teams and stuff, he relied on a lot of other people. Like Kun was usually the one in charge, and he would let other people take the lead. He was there to support, and he was, you know, usually would have like good ideas or could contribute in a way that was brought up the whole group, but he wasn't interested in like actually taking that leadership role. And I think that's something that he still has. Like even though he's working alone, he's still working with orders, he's still being connected to other people. So I think having someone like Wangnan who could actually be that leader role and could step in to a position of, you know, being a a public figure, a figurehead, that kind of a thing is something that Bam needs with his journey because he's not the right person to do it. So I like having those two characters come together and have motivations that complement each other a lot. You can click this playlist to go and see my previous reactions, or you can subscribe so this next time I post a Tower of God reaction, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!